Hello everyone. In this video lecture, we are going to see Module 3 concept of the operating system with the subject code 17CS64. Module 3, here we have two important concepts, that is a deadlock and memory management concepts. Deadlock concept we completed in the previous video lecture. You can go through that entire concept in that that is a deadlock concept in that video lecture. In this video lecture we are going to see about memory management. Here we have mainly a concept called paging and segmentation. We have to refer this textbook for more information. We are going for memory management concept. Memory is used to store some of the informations. So how we are going to manage that memory in an operating system, that concept we are going to see here. Main memory management strategies. Main memory, that means we have two types of memory, main memory and secondary memory, that is a primary memory and secondary memory. Here we are going to concentrate on main memory itself. Here every program to be executed must be in main memory. The instruction must be fetched from the memory before it is executed. The CPU will execute your instructions, or CPU will execute your all the operations. That required things it is taken from memory itself, that is from main memory. The secondary memory, we have a lot of jobs or datas or programs or process that is given to your main memory by using job scheduling. And CPU scheduling algorithms, we seen different algorithms that will allocate or that will schedule your process into the CPU from main memory to CPU. Here how to manage that main memory, we are going to see that. Base and limit register. Base and limit register, it is a pair of base and limit register define the logical address space. Here what do you mean by logical and what do you mean by physical address, that we can see in the next slide. Here you have to know about base and limit. What do you mean by base and what do you mean by limit? You can see this diagram here. This diagram, it is a entire thing is memory part. This is a main memory. That main memory is actually divided into two parts. Some of the part is actually going to operating system. You can see this. Here we have separate color. Okay, that is given to operating system. OS will take this memory area, and remaining all entire area, that means from here to here, everything is given to user space. So your memory, main memory, we have small part is operating system. It is completely handled by operating system, and remaining thing is handled by user space. That means user, for user purpose we have this space. User purpose means for process, mainly for process execution purpose. In this user space, we have a set of blocks. Here we have, this is memory, this is for one process, another block for another process. That means you have one block contain one process, another block memory block contain another process, another memory block contain another process. Like this, different processes are stored in memory. Consider this process. Here this process stored in this block means we have to find out this address of the block. How to find out the address of the block? Here they given base and limit. Base means starting address of that block. Here whatever they given example is for this block. Okay, here starting address is 300040. It is a starting address for that particular block. That is a base. And limit means what is the total length of this block? That is a 120900. That is the total length of this block. Starting address is this one, base. Base represents starting address, and total length of that particular block represents this limit. limit of that block. Totally base and limit will represent entire memory, that block area. Okay. Here for logical address and physical address, we have this base and limit. What is the base? Starting address of that particular block, and limit means total length of that block. So 300,040 plus 120,900 is the last address. Logical versus physical address space. Here concept of logical address space that is bound to a separate physical address space is central to proper management, memory management. Here we have logical address space and physical. What do you mean by logical? What do you mean by physical? Logical address space contain all logical addresses. Physical address space contain all physical address. Then what is logical address? Logical address generated by CPU. Whatever address we will see out of CPU, or CPU will whatever generates address, right? That is called logical address. And whatever address we can see in the memory part, that is called physical address. Memory we have physical, CPU we have logical. Logical address contain in logical address space, physical address contain in physical address space. Again I will repeat, logical address means generated by CPU. Physical address means generated by memory. That means not generated, that is a address seen by the memory in it. We can see whatever address in the memory, right? That is called physical address. Memory management unit, that is short form is MMU. It is a hardware device. Memory management is a hardware device. Maps virtual to physical address. Virtual means, actually here in the previous slide we can see virtual means it is a logical address. Here thing is a CPU will generate, you can see this diagram, CPU will generate logical address. That is the previous definition we seen. Logical address is generated by CPU. And here we have memory, primary memory or main memory. There we are going to see whatever address is there, right? That is a physical address. Here we have logical address, here we have physical address. CPU to memory communication will happen, that is here we have logical, here physical, but we need to convert that logical to physical address. For that purpose we need one device. That device is called a memory management unit. Okay, that is a hardware device we are using in between that CPU and memory, and that is used to convert your logical address to physical address. In MMU scheme, the value in the relocation register is added to every address generated by a user process at the time it is sent to memory. That is a general statement. Mainly you can see this, why memory management is used to convert your logical address to physical address. Logical address is generated by CPU and physical address is observed in the memory. Another concept is static loading and dynamic loading. Here static loading I kept blank. Why? Because first we will go for dynamic loading. Exact reverse is a static loading. Dynamic loading means what? Rather than loading an entire program into memory at once, dynamic loading loads up each routine as it is called. Here rather than loading entire program into memory means your main memory, there instead of adding entire program into that memory, or we can go for another manner, that is a dynamic loading. There we have an advantage, that is what is the advantage? Advantage is that unused routines need not be loaded. No need to load unused routines. Anyway you have complete program means there we have many subroutines, right? That in that subroutines required and essential subroutines only we are going to load into main memory. Remaining everything we are going to keep in secondary memory itself. No need to load everything in main memory. Whenever we want we can take from secondary memory, but main routines only we are going to load inside main memory. That is the advantage we have in dynamic loading. Advantage is that unused routine need not be loaded. Thus reducing the total memory usage. You can reduce the primary memory usage or main memory usage, and generating faster program startup time. You know, main memory is free, means our execution speed is also somewhat high, performance is high. But here disadvantage is there. Disadvantage is that added complexity, because you know, the only required programs we are going to take, or required subroutine of the entire program we are going to take into main memory. That concept is somewhat complicated, and overhead of checking to see if the routine is located every time it is called, then loading it up if it is not already loaded. That means it is loaded or not, it is there in secondary memory or not, which is the loaded in main memory, which is not loaded in main memory, and which is required by CPU. That concept, that requirement, everything, it is somewhat complex thing is there. Dynamic loading, that is a complex, is a disadvantage actually. And advantage is memory speed is high, and only used part we can take into primary memory, remaining everything we can kept in secondary memory itself. That is the advantage. But static loading means what? Static loading means the exact reverse here. Here unused routines no need to load it, right? But here static loading, entire program, entire all subroutine program also we are going to kept in main memory. That is a big disadvantage. Entire program, all subroutines of the program we have to move into primary or main memory. That will lead to loss of that not wastage of your memory. Lot of wastage is there, because every garbage thing also we are loading inside main memory from the secondary memory. That will lead to some misusing of your main memory. Instead of that, we are going for dynamic loading instead of static loading. That is static loading, we are loading entire program without leaving anything. Entire program for that particular process we are loading into main memory. But dynamic loading related to that processor, whichever programs or whichever subroutine is main or required or essential, that is moved to main memory, and remaining everything we kept in secondary memory. Another concept is static linking and dynamic linking. Here this is another easiest concept. Static linking means with the static linking, library modules get fully included in the executable module, wasting both the disk space and main memory usage. This is again same thing. We are not going to add library. I will explain the dynamic linking, then we can explain at a time. With the dynamic linking, however, only a stub is linked into the executable module containing reference to the actual library module linked in at runtime. Here the method is saved disk space. What is this method? Saves a disk space. That is actually disadvantage in the static, because the library routine do not need to fully included in the executable module, only the stubs. I will come to the topic or concept now. You know, many of the programs, there we have library files. In the your C program also we are going for hash include something stdio.h. That is a one library file. If you are going for static linking, actually in that library, inside that library file, again we have big program. You know, if you are going to double click on that library file, we have again a lot of program inside that library file. In this static linking concept, we have to completely write that library program also with your main program also. Library files also you have to copy with your main program. Consider your library program is 1000 line. Your library program is 1000 line, and your main program is 100 line. So you have to write entire 1100, that 1100 lines you have to write in code. That is a complete code, 1100 line. That is in static linking. That will waste your disk space, right? 1100 lines we have to save. Instead of that, we can go for dynamic linking. Here, that 1000 line code, for that we are giving one link, that is called here they given stub is linked. We are going to give one link for that. Complete 1000 line code is linked to one small one line, that is a hash include stdio.h, like that. We have different thing for ARM also. For ARM also we are using some hash include LPC, like that, in the part B programs. That library file we can go for one link. No need to write that entire 1000 lines, just we can write only one line plus that 100 line. So 100 line is a main program, that one line is a library. One line includes 1000 line, that means inside that line one line we have 1000 lines. So no need to write entire 1000 lines, only one line is there. Okay, by that we can go for only 101 lines. Okay, instead of 1100 lines, 101 line we can go for in the dynamic linking. So by that we can reduce the disk space. Here that is here given. An added benefit of dynamic linking library, DLL. You know this DLL everywhere in your computer, laptop, if you are using, you know all files inside that we have DLL files. Okay, the extension with the DLL, that is a library files known as a shared library files, shared object on Unix system. Involves easy upgrades and updates. DLL is a library file links. Actually inside that we have a lot of code also. Instead of writing a lot of code, we are going to link that to one line, that is called the library file. Okay. Swapping is another concept we are going to use in our memory. A process must loaded in the memory in order to execute. You know, in the memory here you can see this, I think diagram is visible here. This diagram is your main memory. Anyway, some part of that main diagram or main memory is given to operating system, remaining all given to user space. Here we have user space. Now all process are there in your user space. That means whichever want to execute, whichever process you want to execute by the CPU, that process all are there in user space. Now here we can see the one cylindrical manner, that is a secondary memory. Here thing is we are taking process from secondary memory to main memory, that is in user space, and any process from the user space we are taking into secondary memory. Why that actually that is a swapping concept, but why we are going for that? Here second line, if there is not enough memory available to keep all running process in the memory at a time, then some process that are not currently using the CPU may have their memory swapped out to fast local disk called a blocking store. Yes, this is actually called blocking store, that is a secondary memory. Here thing is if you are loading many programs, lot of process inside your main memory, that will decrease your speed of the processing speed also, then performance also. Here memory also full, right? That if that memory is somewhat space is there, means that execution speed also high. For that purpose we are using swapping. Now I will give one thing here example. Consider here we have user space and the memory. Consider two processes there here. We taken two process, P1 and P2 are the two process. Now P1 is execution is occur in CPU. Consider execution of P1 is occurred in CPU, but that P1 is waiting for input output for execution purpose, because all execution we can't do in CPU. It needs input output also. In order to complete its execution, some of the process needs input output. So consider that CPU execution is over, but it is waiting for input output execution. At that time it is waiting, right? Here it is waiting in the memory. it is waiting for long time means or it needs again a lot of time as a waiting time means, then we can swap that. Whatever waiting process is there, we can again send that to your secondary memory, or it is called backing store. Okay, we can send it to secondary memory for temporary purpose. Okay, temporary time we are going to send that again to secondary memory, and another process whichever wants CPU execution, that we are going to take into main memory. Whichever process completed CPU execution and waiting for input output, that we are going to take into secondary memory or backing store, and whichever process in the secondary memory needs CPU execution immediately, that process we are going to take inside the main memory. So this swap concept is we are using here. Swapping is a process of moving process from main memory to backing store, that is a main memory to secondary memory, and moving another process from backing store to main memory, here to here. Swapping is a very slow process. Okay, it is a somewhat slow. Another swapping means we have two concepts. One is a swap in, one is a swap out. What do you mean by swap in and what do you mean by swap out? See, in this diagram, swap in means from secondary memory or backing store to your main memory or user space. This arrow mark, here you have arrow mark, this is called swap in. We are taking from outside to inside, swap in. We are taking from inside to outside, that is from main memory to main memory means in the user space. Okay, from here to backing store, swap out. So this is the concept of swapping. Another contiguous memory location. Contiguous memory location is another very important concept. So what do you mean by contiguous memory allocation means? I will explain easily by using this diagram. See, consider this is a memory. This is your main memory. Okay, here we have main memory, yellow color. Okay, so here entire memory is divided into fixed number of blocks, and each block size also fixed. That is called contiguous memory location. Here we have memory that you can think any size. Okay, no problem. Here we have memory size, entire memory, that is a primary memory or main memory. That memory we are dividing into fixed number of blocks. We are dividing. This is a one block, this is one block, another block, another. There are fixed number of blocks are there. Another one, each block having fixed size. Okay, this size is already fixed. We can't change this size. This size is also already fixed. There is a fixed size also there. So that is called contiguous memory allocation. One approach to memory management is load each process into contiguous space. One of the approach is, here we have memory, that memory is already divided here in fixed amount. We are taking process from where do we have to take that process? From secondary memory to main memory or backing store to main memory. That concept is called that means from secondary memory to main memory we have to take process, right? The operating system is allocated space first, usually at either low or high memory location, and then remaining available memory is allocated to process as needed. Here each process is contained a single continuous selection of memory. Here this is one of the method. Okay, here whatever we are seeing in first diagram, that is one of the method. Is secondary second another diagram is there, you can see here this one. This is another continuous memory allocation. This is another format. So what is the first format? That is called fixed MFT. We can call it as another name, MFT, that is multi-programming. I will repeat, multi-programming fixed task. MFT, multi-programming fixed task. This one is that one, and this one is another name, multi-programming variable task. That is called MVT. MVT is the short form, multi-programming variable task. Here entire memory is divided again. Is another type of contiguous memory allocation. Entire memory is divided into fixed number of blocks, and each already, that is each block size also fix. Each block size also fix, but that block is variable size. Here we have one size, okay. Here we have one size. Here we have one size. This is one size. That each, compared to each block, this block and this block is different, variable. That is a size is different. This is again different. This is again. But in this case, MFT concept. See, you can see this and this space is same, and again this, if this is 5 KB space, 5 KB size, this also 5 KB, this also 5, this also 5, and here 5 1 2 3 4 blocks are there, that is fixed. We can't change that. Again we can't divide also. Here we have 2 KB, again 9 KB, 3 KB, 5 KB, 2 KB, like this. This is also fixed. Size is fixed and number of blocks also fixed. That is about MVT, MD, MFT, that we can see that in next slide. But here thing is contiguous memory allocation. Another concept we are going to see is, here we have process. See, consider we are taking that process from the secondary memory. First I will explain this one. P1, P2, P3, P4, 4 processes are there. We are going to store process from secondary memory to primary memory. Just I will move that. See, I will move that. Here we can go for like this. I am going to put that process in the main memory. I will put here, or I will put in this second block, or I will put in the third block, or I will put in the fourth block. That is my option. If you going for MVT concept, here this process I can't put in this first one, because you can tell why. First is this, you can see size. What is the size? Small. What is this process size? Large. Can I put here? Yes, because process size is small, block size is high. Can I put this here? Yes, it is all correct position is there. That means P1 size same as memory size. Yes, block size. Yes, here also possible, but here not possible, right? So this is allocation process. We are going to allocate into memory. Here another slide. We are going for one method of allocating contiguous memory is to divide all available memory into equal sized partition. This is the concept, equal sized partition, and to assign each process to their own partition. Okay, here this concept, that is a MFT. We already seen that. Another one, an alternative approach is to keep list of unused memory block, that is called hole, and find a hole suitable size whenever a process need to loaded in memory. MVT concept. This is the second one, is a MVT, different size. Okay, here we have to load. We have to, in the previous slide I will see that we have to load that process in the memory. That is the concept. We have MVT and MFT. There are many different strategies for finding the best allocation of memory to the process. How we are going to load these things, that is your process inside this one memory block, that we have some of the methods, best allocation methods, okay, memory allocation methods. We have 3 types: first bit, best bit, worst bit. What do you mean by first bit? First bit means search the list of holes until one is found that is big enough to satisfy the request and assign a portion of the hole to the process. We are going to move that particular process inside your memory. That is a one method. Okay, first bit, first fit means we are going to move that. I will tell you in detail. See, we are going for here, sorry, in the previous slide. Here itself I will explain this. I will take inside this. Okay, I taken this one inside this. Now what do you mean by first fit, then best fit, then worst fit? What is the size of the process? First you have to see that. Okay, and related block size is there. Related means almost same size block is there means, then we are going to put that there. See, this is the one size process is there. Out of these 4 blocks, memory blocks, whichever having almost same thing, same sized block is there, same process. What is the process size? That much size block is there means we are going to put there. That concept is first fit. First, we are not that much we are concentrating about size, but generally we have to see about this block and about this your memory block. Okay, here I will put here. Now fine, I can put here, that is also fine. I can put here, that is also, because this is all our fixed size. But here I can't put in this block, first block, right, because the size of the process is large. We can put here, yes. We can put here, yes. I can put here, that is also fine. That is the first fit. I can, wherever I can put this process in the block, that I can put in by using this method. Big enough, found that it is a big enough to satisfy the request and assign a portion of the whole to the process. What do you mean best fit? See, smallest hole, that is a big enough. Smallest hole, see this 3, what do you mean by first fit? Here big enough, big enough. Second is best fit means smallest hole, hole means this is a block, memory block, that is big enough. Okay, here P1, which one is a big enough for that P1, you can load in that, that is the best fit. But what is the worst fit? Largest hole. So here you can see block is very high, process is very small. If you are going to put this process in this block, that is a worst fit, because it is a block is very large, your process is very small, wasting of entire block memory usage, right? Here memory is there, entire memory, we are going to waste that, because this size of the process is very small, remaining thing is entirely wasted. So that is the largest hole we are going to allocate, that is a worst condition, worst fit. So try to go for best fit or first fit. Initially see this process size and see that memory size here, while coming to MVT, see this, and if that particular memory and particular process size is same, then put in that. That is the concept of first fit or best fit. Better to go for first or best fit. Then fragmentation. Fragmentation means here allocation of memory to process leads to fragmentation of the memory. A whole is the free space available within the memory. Within the memory. Okay. Here I will explain that two types are actually external and internal. I will explain in with the example. Here we have P1. Just I will take that P1 here. Okay, I will take that P1. I want to load inside this block. I want to load inside this. So now say this block is this covered this much, remaining part, but we can't change this memory block, right? Remaining part, that is wasted. So I will take second one. I want to load here. Okay, I want to load in second. Yeah, here see, that is a best fit, because P2 size and block size is almost 99% it is same. So there is no wastage of spaces, right? So I will take P3 and I will load here in this third block. How much space is wasted? See, lot of space it is wasted in memory. Only P3 takes only this space, remaining entire space is wasted, right, inside. So that wasted space, that is called actually internal fragmentation. When you are going to put P1 inside that memory, so P1 takes only small space in that block, only that block, remaining block in is wasted, that is called internal fragmentation. Then what do you mean by external fragmentation? Say I am going to load P1 inside this block, then P2 here, then there is no wastage space in P2, fine. Then P3 I am going to load here. what is the wastage in this space and what is the wastage here, that thing is called, that means external. External means holes present in between the process. There is a blank space, right? Here again here blank is there, here we have blank space, that combinedly called external fragmentation. But internal fragmentation means what? Holes are present within the process itself. Within the process, there is a free space within the process. Free space within the process, that is called internal. External means between the process. If you going to load your process here and P1 is loaded in another here, so you can see here the you can see that this here here we have space, wastage space, right? That is called, for this particular block, that is called internal fragmentation. And for this, if you are going to load this one in the last block, whatever remaining space, that is called internal fragmentation. But what is the external fragmentation? See, entire memory, here we have some space wasted, here we have some space wasted, like that here, all block space, wastage space combinedly called external fragmentation. Paging concept, another very important concept, paging. Paging is I will explain in with the help of diagram, then I will come to theory part. Here you can see the entire memory. Okay, this is the main memory we have. Now you are going to divide entire main memory into small part. Okay, entire main memory into small part, that is of variable size. Variable size means this block size and this block size is fixed. This block size and this block size is fixed. Okay, if this block is 2 KB, this also 2 KB. But if you are considering another memory, you can change. That means this block is 5 KB, this block also 5 KB. Why I am telling variable means there is no fixed rule for setting the size of the block. But in the contiguous memory location, yeah, another thing is this is a non-contiguous memory allocation. But previous whatever we discussed, it is contiguous memory allocation. After this, paging concept coming under non-contiguous memory allocation. Non-contiguous means we can divide memory into small parts. Each part is called frames. Remember again, each part is called frame. So I am dividing memory, so each part is called frame. Okay, here also I am dividing, that is also frame. Here also I am dividing, that is also frame. The different frames are there. Frame size is fixed. Okay, I am going to name for that each frame. This is 0th frame, 1st frame, 2nd frame, 3rd frame, 4th, 5th, like this it continues. Now I will come to another concept here. This is your one process, entire process, that is in secondary memory now. Now that process is divided into small blocks. See this, we are dividing into small blocks. Each small block of the process is called page. Again I will repeat, each block of the process is called page. This is process we are dividing here, that is called page, block is called page. Memory we are dividing into small blocks, each block is called frames. Now for page also we are giving number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. One condition is what is your frame size and what is your page size, that should be same. Frame size and page size should be same, that is a one condition. If frame size is 2 KB, page size, page means this one small block, that should be also 2 KB. If this is this block is 5 KB, that means all blocks are 5 KB, same here also all blocks are 5 KB. That is one of the condition, frame size and page size should be same. Next we can see another diagram here. As I told in the previous explanation, we are going to move your process into your main memory, right? In the previous concept I told entire process we are moving into one block of the memory, but here we are changing our concept. That is, here we are dividing entire process into small pages or small blocks, that is called pages. Okay, these pages, one by one page we are going to move into one by one frames. There in the previous contiguous part, entire process we are moving into one block, but here entire process we are dividing. That dividing is, each block is page wise we are loading inside your main memory, that is a frame. This is loaded here. We can see one example. This, you can see this diagram here. 3, see this block, page number 3 I loaded here, I loaded in the one block, which frame number is 0. Okay, and page number 0 I loaded in frame number 1. This is memory, right? Entire memory. For memory we are having blocks, that is called frame. Pages we have blocks, that is called process we have blocks, that is called pages. And second page here, this page I am going to load inside second frame. Page wise we can load inside memory, that is called in frame. This concept is called paging. Now one thing is, which of the page is loaded in which of the frame, that concept, how to remember that. So now you can see here, page number 3 I loaded in frame number 0, where I am getting that data. Now how to find out which page is there in which frame, how to find out that? For that purpose I have another table, that is called page table. This is the example for page table. You can see this here, I have table, whatever inside this, all numbers we have frames, frame number, that's why I represented F. Okay, all are frame, and outside this we can see some of the numbers, that is called page number. Like this we have to create one page table. How to create page table? See, now 0th frame contains, see which page? Third page, right? So 0th page, where is that? P. 0th frame. 0th frame, see here. 0th frame contains third page. So third page is there in 0th frame. That is the thing. Page, first you have to find out which page there in which frame. Now 0th page is there in which frame? See, 0th page is there in which frame? First frame. You can see here, 0th page is there in first frame, and first frame, that is I not represented here, that is why I left blank. And second page here, second page is there in second frame, right here. Third page is there in 0th frame, so right here. So this type is called page table. So outside we have page number and inside we have frame number. Now we will go for operation. CPU, here we have CPU. CPU will give logical address. Again I will repeat, logical address contain page number. Okay, it contain page number. That page number is given to page table. What is there in page table? Page number and frame number. So page table will identify that. Anyway, CPU will send page number, right? Because CPU want to execute that particular page, so CPU will send that page number. Then page number is sent to page table. In the page table it will search frame number. That frame number is sent to memory. From the memory, that particular page is captured and send it to CPU. This is the concept. Okay. Now we will see the theory part. Paging is the memory management scheme that allows the process to be stored in the physical memory discontinuously. Second thing, it eliminates problem with fragmentation by allocating memory in equalized blocks known as pages. That means which is the disadvantage in the previous case, that is a fragmentation. There we have internal fragmentation and external fragmentation. So space is wasted, that concept I told in the previous. In contiguous memory allocation, lot of internal and external fragmentation problem is there. That means if you are loading any process inside block, if that block is not fit, then there is a chance of wasting of memory. Either some of the process may not enter inside the block because process size is large, block size is small, we can't enter inside that. That's why there also we have some problems. In order to avoid that problem, we have one non-contiguous memory allocation scheme, that is called paging. Here we are dividing entire page into small blocks, and here entire memory into small blocks, that is called frame. Here page, that pages we are loading into frame inside the frames. That is called paging concept. Divide physical memory into number of equal sized block called frames. Okay, divide program logical space means that is the process, into blocks called pages. Process we are dividing into small blocks, that is called pages. Any page can be placed into available frame, whichever available frames are there, that means the free frames, there we can put pages. The page table is used to look up with the frame particular page stored in, that is a page table. Why we are using page table? There we have to see which of the frame stored in which of the page, or sorry, which of the page is stored in which of the frame in the main memory. That concept we have to see. That's why we are using page table. Here logical address consists of two parts. Logical address is generated by CPU, right? That is consists of two parts. One is page number, you can see this diagram, page number. Another one is a what is the offset. Offset also is there. So offset is actually what is the size of the page, that is represented here. This is the page number, and what is the length of the page, what is the size of the page, that is there in page offset. This is about logical. Okay, this is about logical address. There we contain page number and page offset like this. In physical address space also we have two parts. One is a frame number and frame offset. Frame number and frame offset, that is in physical. Anyway, you know logical address space is generated by CPU. Physical address space is observed in memory. For that purpose, in order to convert logical to physical, we are using one concept called memory management unit. Yes. Here you can see one diagram. Here we have CPU. Here we have CPU. CPU will generate logical address. Logical address having two parts. One is a page number, one is offset. Offset is represented here by D. Okay, that page number is or that page number is required by the CPU. That's why it's sent here. That page number is sent to page table. This is your page table. What page table contains? Outside we have page number, inside we have frame number. So that particular page present in which frame, that concept is there in page table. So this page table will get, or by using page table you will get frame number also. That frame number is sent to memory. So that frame number is sent means that is a physical address. Physical address contain frame number and offset. Again you have to remember one thing, D and D, that is same. This T and this T is same. That's why I told in the previous slide itself, page size and frame size is same. Okay, page size and frame size is same. Once this is over, then frame number is sent to memory. In that particular frame we have page that is captured and sent to CPU. This is the concept of paging. Now for each page, see here we have page 0, page 1, page 2, page 3. We divided into 4 pages. So page 0 is stored in which part? Here. See, first frame we have page 0. This is the memory actually. Page 1 is stored in 4th frame. Page 2 stored in third frame. So we have to represent in page table, right? So page 0 is stored in first frame. So here you have to write first frame contain page 0, 0 contain in first frame, page 1 contain in fourth frame. So 1 is there in fourth frame, you can see in page table. Page 2 is there in third frame, so 2 is there in third frame. Page 3 is there in seventh frame, 3 is there in seventh. Like this we have to generate one page table. Here we have another one, new process. Here you can see process is there. Okay, we are dividing into pages. That page we are going to store in memory, but we in the memory which are the frames are free, that free frame list we have to generate here. That is called free frame list. 14th frame is free, 13th is free, 18th is free, 20th is free, 15th is free. We can store these pages in that particular free frame. So we have another list called free frame list, that will there we are going to get which are the free frames in the main memory. Page lookup must be done for every memory reference, and whenever a process gets swapped in and out of CPU, its page table must be swapped in and out too, along with instruction register, etc. Here each process we have one page table. Remember, for each process we have one page table. If your P1 is there we have one page table. If you are going for P2, there we have different page table. Page P3 process we have different page tables. Okay, because that process is divided into small blocks, right? That block detail is there in page table. So here page lookup or page table must be done for every memory reference, and whenever a process gets swapped. Swapping concept, you know, we are taking one process, we are sending another process. If any process is changed, page table should be changed. Table must be swapped. Page table should be changed, because related to that process we need page table. One option, that means one of the option, set a dedicated register for the page table. We have to change page table, right? Every time we have to change page table. In order to save that page table in where we have to save page table for each process. So we have to create one register only for that saving your page table. Is that enough registers? Register size is small, right? So that's why we have another option. So an alternative option is to store page table in main memory itself. Okay, we can save that page tables, all processes there in anyway in main memory. Related to that, all page tables also should be in the main memory, and to use a single register to record the address of the page table. That means where is the page table present in your main memory, that all address of the page table present in main memory is stored in another register, that is called PTBR. PTBR is the register where we are contain addresses of the page table present in your main memory. However, main memory access is slow. You know, main memory access is somewhat slow, because every memory access now requires 2 memory access. Yeah, fine. Thing is, you have to access memory. Memory accessing is somewhat slow compared to register access, right? So we are going to produce another new concept called TLB. TLB is very important concept, translation look aside buffer. What do you mean by TLB? So we will see that, we will explain that here. You can see this diagram. I will explain that concept of TLB with this diagram. Here we have CPU. CPU will generate logical address. Logical address contain page number and offset. Offset means size of the page, and page number we have here represented by P. So now that P is sent to page table, right? P is sent to page table in order to access frame number. But many page tables are there. Consider many page tables are there in memory. Anyway, in the previous we told all page tables are stored in main memory, that is here. Now which page table you need, that page table we have to access from the memory. In order to reduce the access speed, we are going to create one small register, buffer. We are going to create one buffer here. That is a small space. That space contains recently used your page numbers and frame numbers. Okay, this is size is fixed, TLB size is fixed. Either we can store maximum 10 page numbers, okay, or 5 page numbers, like that. Example, let us example 5 or 10 page numbers. Okay, here we have TLB, that is a one buffer. There we are going to save page number and frame number. Now here concept is page number is searched in this buffer. Okay, logical address contain page number that is searched in buffer. Now if that page number present in that buffer, then corresponding frame number also we are going to get here itself, right? Then that frame number is sent as a physical address to main memory and access that page to CPU. That is a concept. But if that is happened, then that is called TLB hit. But sometimes, now initial condition, every TLB is a blank, right? So now you are going to search page number. Here page number is not there, so we are going to search that page number directly from the page table. You know, page table is there in main memory, so we are going to access that page table from main memory, and that page number is sent to page table. Once you got that page table, you are going to search that particular page number. For that page number we are going to get frame number also, right? Once your page number you got, frame number also we are going to get. That frame number we are going to send to memory as a physical address. At the same time, when you are going to send to memory, at the same time, page number and frame number we are going to update that in TLB. We have to update as a first entry. Okay, after that, when you are going to second access, same page number and frame number here, no need to access from the memory, because that is there in buffer. Buffer access is somewhat high speed, but memory access is lower speed. That's why it takes time. In order to access your page number, we can go for TLB. If there is any data present in TLB buffer itself, no need to go for memory for page table. If there is no data present in your TLB, then we have to search that data from the page table present in your main memory. So if there is any data present in TLB, then that thing is search is success, right? That's called TLB hit. If that search, that means you are searching some page number that is not present in that buffer, so you have to search that from main memory, then that is called TLB miss. That means TLB is not success at that time. That's why TLB miss. We have to go for page table. From page table we are going to search that number, and we are going to send that to memory as a physical address. At the same time, we are going to update that page number and frame number in the TLB buffer also. But here F is a frame number, we are going to send to main memory. Here D and D is same, that is a page number and frame number is same. That is the concept of TLB, very important concept. Here how you are going to replace your TLB? See, recently used, only if you have 10 blocks here. If recently used, we are going to keep as it is, remaining we are going to delete that. Okay, like that we are going to update the TLB. Then protection, here we have pages are divided into small blocks. Then here we have memory. Page 0 is present in one frame, page 1 is present in another frame, page 2 is present in another frame, but here totally page 5 is there. Page 5 is stored, so you can see the page table here up to 5 we have, that means 5th page is stored in 9th frame. You can see fifth page is stored in ninth frame. So related to this page, every data is there in page table. So that is a valid data. V means valid. But sixth and seventh page, you can see this page table, sixth and seventh page, we don't have any frame, zero is there. So related to this page or this process, we are not using sixth and seventh, so that's why we are going to write invalid. Sixth and seventh page is not there in that particular process, that is there in another process. So for this process only till 0 to 5 is valid, remaining everything is invalid. You can see 0 to 5 only is there. So in page table 0 to 5 is valid, remaining is invalid. This is for protection purpose. By that we can't access any other process pages at a time. That means you can't access, that user can't, or one P1 process can't access any page of the P2. In order to do that, we have to go for protection. That protection by using valid and invalid bit. Shared page concept. What you mean by shared page? See, we have lot of process, and for each process we have page table concept. Here also we have process, we have page table concept. Here also we have process, then page table concepts. So here why we are using shared page means, in the previous slide we discussed, for each process there is a page table. All process is stored in your main memory means, then your page table should be in the main memory. In order to access that, we need a lot of time. In order to access your page table, we need lot of time. That's why we are using a TLB concept. So here shared page concept, we have another concept. So related to this, we are going to discuss in the next video lecture. Thank you.